Hello everyone, this is Tholin and we have a new video on a subject that is taking a lot of discussion in the last couple of months. And of course I'm talking about the Retroid Pocket 3. Now let's begin with a fact. Retroid Pocket 3 is coming, and I believe it's coming in 2021. There is this famous leak from Taki Udon back in December of 2020, and this guy is not some random Reddit guy who just said something. He is located in China. He is one of the biggest YouTubers regarding emulation handhelds, and he has quite close ties with the Chinese companies that develop this type of emulators. So Taki Udon, he posted something back in December saying that Retroid Pocket 3 is coming. But before we go there, let's recap a bit about this product that is called Retroid Pocket 2. This emulation handheld that was released in the previous year in 2020, and it was one of the most successful emulation handhelds out there. If you have been following my channel, then you know that we had an unboxing back when I received this product. And after that, I made a big number of videos focusing on the, first of all, on the actual performance improvement of the Retroid Pocket 2, along with a lot of content behind the emulation on various systems. We have a video with the Super Nintendo emulation, with the Mega Drive emulation, Dreamcast emulation video is also under my videos. I have also done a Sony PSP emulation guide, and you can all find them in my channel. Now, this particular device had a lot of good features. Of course, it was not flawless. We have seen over the period of time that it is in the market a lot of problems. We have seen some bleeding on the screen. We have seen screens that they do not open, as you can see in this small video right here that I found in Reddit from another user of Retroid Pocket 2. But all in all, this is one of the best propositions that you can find for an emulation handheld in the market, especially with its price point, as at the time that this video was made, Retroid Pocket 2 retailed for $80. So you can find a pretty decent device that can emulate up to some people say PS1. I am personally not that sure that it can emulate a lot of PS1 games, but it can emulate a lot of systems up to Nintendo 64 without any major issues. If we want to make a wish list of what features from the Retroid Pocket 2 we would like to keep and what features we would like to discard in a future model, as in the case of the upcoming Retroid Pocket 3, then I would start first of all with the things that I would like to keep. And this includes the overall design quality. Now, Retroid Pocket 2 is a nicely made device. It is a Chinese device, of course, but the quality of the production is quite high. It has its problems. In my case, for instance, the right digital stick comes off, and I have seen other problems also. But other than that, and in general, it's a nicely designed and a nicely made device. Another thing that I would keep is the IPS screen. The screen quality is very well. It shows in an excellent way the graphics of any emulated game, and also the size is pretty decent. If we went to something bigger, then I believe it will mess with the overall construction of the product, and also it would make a possible new model quite heavier. The extra shoulder buttons are also something that I would keep. I love the fact that the Retroid Pocket 2 has those extra shoulder buttons, and you can use to map them in various consoles and different games. It can be quite useful for more for a big number of games, to be honest. I would also keep the battery. The 4000 milliamperes battery is something decent. It's not the best that we can find, but a small, let's say, upgrade there could be something nice to have, but I believe that we can live with the 4000 milliampere battery that the Retroid Pocket 2 had. And of course I would keep the mini HDMI output, because you can use that to connect it to a TV, to a bigger screen, and this improves the emulation quality and how you can enjoy the games you like to play in a big way. Of course, on the other hand, there are things on the Retroid Pocket 2 that do not work as they should, and those things are the ones that I would like to discard. The first one would be the digital joystick. To me, this offers almost nothing to the actual device as it is right now, and I would try to replace that with another analog joystick that would help in a lot of, let's say, Nintendo 64 and a lot of PS1 games, having the second analog joystick that you could map. This would be my first change. And the second thing that I would remove is the secondary operating system. Now, as you know, Retroid Pocket 2 has two operating systems. The first one is a typical Android, which is an old version, an Android 6 version to be precise, and another custom-made operating system where it has some built-in emulation and some ROMs that you can find and you can download for its own dedicated store. Now, first of all, the emulation there has no settings to mess with and to change, so the emulation is mediocre at best. It's in most cases the sound is awful, it has a lot of frame skip in more demanding games and all these problems, and also the ROMs that you download through that dedicated store are encrypted and you cannot use them anywhere else. To me, this is a waste of resources and a waste of capacity for the Retroid Pocket 2, so in any future model I would totally discard them. I would also love to hear your views on that. What would you keep? What would you discard or replace in a future model? And if you like, you can post your comments below that video. It will make a nice discussion. Apparently, after the initial leak, there was another image that surfaced at Reddit, the one I'm showing you right now, and a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that this is maybe the design of the new Retroid Pocket 3. However, as it was later on discussed, most probably this is another emulation handheld from China that we are going to see later on in this year, but you can see the similarities, especially on the right hand side of the image. A lot of design similarities with the Retroid Pocket 2 especially. I think it's good now to start a bit of speculation or a bit of a wish list of what we would like the new Retroid Pocket 3 to have with regards to specifications. To me, I think it's time for the emulation handhelds to move away from the 4-core processor to a more upgraded model, to more cores that will help us get better and improved emulation, especially on later systems. I think that the prices for the octa-cores or the 8-core processors for the mobiles are quite low as we move on, and I think that as we can see them in a lot of low-end mobiles, it's time that we can see it also on emulation handhelds. So personally, I think that the new Retroid Pocket 3 should have an improved processor where compared to the 4-core one of the Retroid Pocket 2. Another improvement that I am expecting, to be honest, is for the Retroid Pocket 3 to have an improved Mali GPU, a graphic processor. We have seen a better model for the newer RG351V emulation handheld that we saw to be released earlier this year, and I think that this new processor should be also included in a possible new Retroid Pocket 3 model. Another upgrade that I think it's needed is the RAM. I think that the 1 GB of RAM for the Retroid Pocket 2 was okay, but the 2 GB should be included in the Retroid Pocket 3. We do have the global situation right now with a memory chip shortage, and this may increase the price. We are going to discuss pricing later on in this video, but I believe that 2 GB should be an upgrade in the specification of a newer Retroid Pocket model. Finally, I think it's time to move on from the totally outdated Android 6 version that we saw in Retroid Pocket 2 and move towards most probably the latest one, which is Android 9. I don't know what version of Android 9 should be the best choice or the best option for the Retroid Pocket 3, but having Android 9 will give us better emulation. It will open up the system for more later generation consoles to be effectively emulated in a new model, and I think that this should be also included. If you have any other specifications or other features from your wish list, don't hesitate to include them in the comments of this video. Pricing is extremely important also. Right now we can find both models of Retroid Pocket in very attractive pricing. The first Retroid Pocket retails for around $70 at the time of the filming of this video, and the Retroid Pocket 2 is currently at $80. Now, the company has both of these versions available for purchase right now, so it will be logical to assume that when the Retroid Pocket 3 is in the market, the previous two models will also be available for the consumer to choose at which price point matches his budget. So following that way of pricing their products, I believe that the Retroid Pocket 3 should be priced around $90 to $100. I think that the $100 mark is the max for this system in order for it to be competitive and of course to be effective for the company producing it. I do not expect any huge surprises with the Retroid Pocket 3 being more expensive like $100 because I believe that the company has realized that when it offers such a nice handheld at a very competitive price, it can lead to the product dominating the market, as it happened with the Retroid Pocket 2 in 2020. So everyone, that was all for what I believe the Retroid Pocket 3 will be. An emulation console that we will see in 2021. We have seen the way the company releases its new models. It's more or less one per year, so it will be safe to say that the new Retroid Pocket 3 will be released in 2021. I'd love to hear your comments. What is your position on the Retroid Pocket 2 that you may already have and the Retroid Pocket 3 that we expect in the following months? If you like the channel, there is a ton of content behind the Retroid Pocket family. Please subscribe, thumb up, as we have more content coming soon.